topic. One of the very first topics I covered on this channel many years ago. I made a short video about it. But I thought we'd delve into it tonight, talk about it at length. Many of you may have never heard about Nahane Valley. And for me, it's, like I said, it's one of the oldest videos on the channel. Something that I have always found very interesting, but I haven't had a chance to revisit, or haven't even thought to revisit until tonight. So that's what we're going to get into. But before we get started with that, let me go ahead and say a quick hello to everybody here. How y'all doing tonight? What is going on? How do you do? Good to see many of you are familiar faces, and it's good to see many new faces as well. That's always fun. How are you? How is it going? How do you feel? What is going on? What is new? What is up? Hello. How are you? So glad you could join us tonight. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your hour as we delve into a world of mysteries, as we dive down rabbit holes to be explored. The exploration of the mind, a community of the curious. And that's what I like to think of us here. Community of the curious. It is a good time. Oh, just a little hiccup there. I don't know what just happened. So thank you all for being here tonight. Again, I do appreciate it. Now, what we're talking about is a very remote part of Canada. Very, very remote. A very remote part of Canada. The Nahane National Park Reserve. It's approximately 311 miles west of Yellowknife. And it reaches... You have canyons, 4 noteworthy canyons reaching over 3,300 feet in depth, called First, Second, Third, and Fourth Canyon, line this spectacular whitewater river. The name Nahane comes from the indigenous Dene language name for the area, Denehe, meaning river of the land of the Naha people, who some now speculate may have been the ancestors of the modern-day Navajo. So, very interesting there. The Nahane Valley was carved out by glaciers over the last 2 million years. It is beautiful and vast. It is enormous. There are waterfalls. There are hot springs. There are over 42 different kinds of mammals, 180 birds, 16 fish, and a few amphibian species found in the park. You've got nighthawks, grizzly bears, olive-sided flycatchers, peregrine falcons, rusty blackbirds, short-eared owls, wood bison, woodland caribou, wolverine, and yellow rail, in addition to bull trout and the Nahane aster. Mammal species include black bear, timber wolf, moose, shrew, vole, Arctic ground squirrel, marmot, mink, beaver, pine marten, lynx, snowshoe hare, river otter, muskrat, and the red fox. Among numerous birds, golden eagles, for example, loons, sharp-shinned hawks, trumpeter swans, and it includes the only known nesting site of the whooping crane. So we're talking about a very beautiful, very remote place here. The first human occupation of this area is estimated to have occurred 9,000 to 10,000 years ago. Evidence of prehistoric human use has been found at Yohin Lake and a few other sites within the park. The local oral history contains many references to the Naha tribe, a mountain-dwelling people who used to raid settlements in the adjacent lowlands. These people are said to have rather quickly and mysteriously disappeared. First contact with European fur traders expanded into the region during the 18th century and was increased with Alexander Mackenzie's exploration of the Mackenzie River, the De Cho, the building of trading posts at Fort Simpson and Fort Laird, and both of these, John MacLeod, a Scottish explorer in the area, was to serve as manager. During the 19th century, most Dene families left their nomadic lifestyle and settled into more permanent communities, often close to trading posts. Permanent settlements were established at locations such as Nahane Boot, Fort Laird, and Fort Simpson. So Very interesting history here. The stories of the Naha rather, and the dangerous landscape they inhabited grew in stature with the Klondike Gold Rush. As some explorers attempted to use Nahane as a path to the famous gold fields of the Yukon, or try to make their fortune on the Flat and South Nahane rivers. Although no significant gold was found, legends of the haunted valleys and lost gold emerged after the headless corpses of the Metis prospectors Willie and Frank McLeod were found around 1908. The Lost McLeod Mine, a legendary lost mine somewhere in the park, is supposed to have been where two brothers found their gold. In the years that followed, mysterious deaths of other prospectors added to the legends. The name of the park features such as Dead Man's Valley, Headless Creek, Headless Range, and Funeral Range bear testimony to these stories and legends. We're going to talk about some of these stories and legends tonight. Now, in 1908, brothers Willie and Frank McLeod embarked on a mission into the Nahane Valley in search of gold, and they never came back. 2 years later, their bodies were found on the banks of the Nahane River. Their heads were nowhere to be found. 9 years after those brothers were found, Martin Jorgensen set off into Nahane in a quest for gold. Soon after, Jorgensen sent out letters claiming he had struck gold. His cabin was mysteriously burned to the ground. The remains of his body were found among the ashes, just like the McLeod brothers. Jorgensen's body was found without a head. In 1945, a miner from Ontario succumbed to the same exact fate. His body was found headless in his sleeping bag. We may never know the truth behind these headless tales, but what we do know is this was only the beginning of the many mysterious and haunting stories surrounding the Nahane Valley. Now, as I mentioned, there were cryptids involved here. There are cryptids involved. Two that really stand out, and we'll get to those in a minute. But this was a place where people vanish. According to Neil Hartling in his book Nahane, River of Gold, River of Dreams, men vanish in that country, and down the river they say it's a damned good country to keep clear of. Lured by reports in the area, the brothers Frank and Willie McLeod journeyed from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada to the Nahane Range in 1904. Traveling with primitive gear, they traversed hundreds of kilometers by train, boat, and foot during a numbingly cold winter until they reached Gold Creek. Their efforts were rewarded that year, but when they returned home in Fort Laird with gold in hand. However, not satisfied, the brothers made a second expedition to the Nahane Range in 1905, from which they never returned. Nothing was heard from Frank and Willie until the brother Charlie McLeod led a search for the park in 1908, where he discovered two skeletons on the camp of the river's edge in a vast valley. Their heads had been severed, and one man lay with his arms outstretched towards his gun. The blankets were thrown across his brother as if he had leaped suddenly from the bed, read reports. From that day forward, the valley has been known as Dead Man Valley and called the Headless Creek. And like I said, it wasn't just the McLeod brothers. A Scottish engineer had been traveling with them, and he was never seen again. And Yukon prospector Martin Jorgensen in 1917, he sent home news he'd struck it rich, and not long after, his decapitated skeleton was found outside his cabin, which had been burned to the ground, spawning rumors of headhunters in the valley in the Canadian newspapers. Numerous other reports from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police confirm similar deaths, and a good number of people have simply vanished without a trace after setting foot in the park. Around the same time in the park's history, a series of unexpected plane crashes earned an expanse of mountains the names Funeral Range, which borders the ominous Hell's Gate Rapids. This seemingly supernatural deaths are only part of the mystery of the Nahane Valley. Since the first Dene people settled there 10,000 years ago, the lore of hidden tropical gardens, mythical creatures, and spirits hiding in the park's hot springs and tufa mounds abound. I once heard a Chio chief tell stories of an ancient giant of Rabbit Kettle Hot Springs who would cook his food in the springs. Whether giants roam the park or not, the hot springs do hold specific cultural significance for the Decho, who leave offerings like tobacco at the spring for good luck. It's said if the springs are full, it's an auspicious sign. In the 19th century, later on, UFO sightings and other strange lights were reported in the park. To this day, fringe bloggers obsessed with cryptids recount stories of Amphiochasionidae, a predatory bear-dog hybrid that went extinct in the Pliocene, prowling the valley, as well as signs of Bigfoot activity in forbidden parts of the park. Certain areas within Nahane are closed to visitors because of their sensitive ecosystems or cultural significance for the indigenous Dene people. But some say the restrictions are as much about containing the park's supernatural forces as they are about keeping people out. So a legendary place here we're talking about. And like I said, could have some connections to the Hollow Earth. As I mentioned, there were cryptids. The first one is a Wahila, a canine cryptid reported from the northern United States, but frequently applied to the great white wolf of Canada's Nahane Valley. It's described as a gigantic white wolf. Lauren Coleman discovered a colonial-era account of a Wahila from Michigan, where 3 trappers supposedly sighted a phantom-like giant white wolf near a lake. Carl Shakur writes that this encounter was fatal. This Michigan account is the origin of the name Wahila. So the Wahila and the Nahane bear, a cryptid giant bear reported in Canada's Nahane Valley, noted for its extremely large size, which would make any Kodiak bear look like a black bear pup. Another giant bear in Canada is McFarland's bear, a bulldog bear capable of carrying off a moose, with a report from the Northwestern Territories and even to northern British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan in Canada. So yes, there are several cryptids reported up there, and you can't discount the reports of Bigfoot and UFOs that have been sighted in the park. One wonders what's happening in a place like this, where you get a convergence of all these kind of things. You hear about Skinwalker Ranch all the time. You don't hear about Nahane Valley. You don't hear about a place like this where it's like a vortex of strange occurrences all coming together in one place. Hey, Voyage Home, how you doing? Thanks for being here. Yeah. That is it. Very interesting place, and I'll tell you, I would love to visit Nahane Valley. I think it would be just a huge rush to be able to check it out. I've watched so many videos about this specific place, travel videos, people rafting down the river, camping on its banks, doing the whole expedition. And it just seems so amazing to me to be able to do that. But we are talking Bigfoot, we're talking the Nahane bear, we're talking the Wahila.
4, 3, 2,
1. We're talking about Hollow Earth, perhaps entrances to the Hollow Earth. We're talking about a mysterious people who once lived in the valley who just vanished. They used to come down and raid the lowlands. They lived up in the cliffs and the bluffs. They would come down and raid the communities in the lowlands, but they vanished one day without a trace. Oh, we got some super chats here. Ginger Viking Jesus coming on in for $5. Thank you, Ginger Viking Jesus. Thanks very much, man. Ginger says, I'm at work, can't stay long. What did I miss? We're talking about Nahane Valley tonight, the Valley of the Headless Man. So very interesting stuff we're getting into this evening. Very weird realms of possibility of what is going on in the Nahane Valley. And then Deranged Lunatic for 99 cents. We got a little smiley face here from Deranged. Thank you so much, Deranged. I do appreciate that. Very nice. The Nahane Valley. Who knows what else lurks in a place like this? You know, when we talk about these kind of remote areas of the world, I think anything is truly possible. You know, I think we could be dealing with a place that is a convergence of a lot of strange energies, and because of its remote nature, might be the kind of place that attracts certain type of entities who seek to be as far away from people as possible. Who knows what took the heads of the McLeod brothers or Jorgensen? Who knows what did that?
4, 3,
To this day, they have no idea. And what about the people who just go missing on their own? Who just vanish without a trace, missing 411 style? What of that occurrence in the Nahane Valley? This is the kind of place you can only get into by boat or plane. Or, I mean, huffing it on foot, I guess. You could cross the Continental Divide on foot. But you can really only get into the valley by foot, by boat or plane these days.
fuel scooping,
And they'll like fly you into the valley, and then you can boat your way out of it.
system scan complete.
There was a book written about Nahane Valley called Sick Heart River. A fictional river that the author made up, located in Nahane Valley. Cosmic Yogg-Sothoth of Dunwich, missing head 411. Yeah, well, that's what goes on in the valley.
Fuel scoop
Oh, and that's why Tina
disengaged.
doesn't want me to go there ever. No, I think it would be great. I think it would be great. Actually, when I was contacted by those TV people, that was the first idea they were kicking around, like going up to Nahane Valley.
Frameshift
that.
drive charging.
That was like the first idea they had. And it was like, would you be interested in flying up here and doing that? I was like, yeah. Yeah, I traveled the valley.
4,
That was meant
3, 2,
for the sake of producing a TV series about it. Draven Dark points out that that's in every national park and forest and makes you wonder if they were made to protect something. You know, and that's what some people say, that there's certain areas in here are made to keep the supernatural elements in as much as they are to keep regular people out. So it's like, if you know this is an area where Bigfoot congregate, you might want to make that off limits. You might want to make that off limits. Tina points out, you hate being outside, you'd hate it. Ginger Viking Jesus coming back on in with another $5 super chat. Thank you, Ginger. Much appreciated, my man. Thank you very much. Ginger says, good topic for a later show. Dudleytown, Connecticut. Abandoned town in Connecticut, and apparently one of the most haunted towns in Connecticut. Dudleytown. I have heard of the name Dudleytown before. And I believe I might have seen it in one of my books here. I'm going to have to do some research into the old library. Bogus Hype says secret underground labs experimenting with magic. There are accusations of secret military installations existing in the Nahane Valley. There are those allegations as well from people who believe such things. So it does kind of have that deep underground military bases, Bigfoot, UFO,
Fuel scoop disengaged.
portal to the hollow earth kind of thing going on. And also people's heads go missing
Frameshift
and they
drive
don't know why.
charging.
So, I mean, as you can see, I mean, it's definitely a lot of weird stuff going on in Nahane Valley. It is the Valley of the Headless Men.
4,
It is a place where people go in,
2, 1.
and sometimes they don't come back out. Draven Dark says, go to the land between the lakes or Taylor, Mississippi. You know what? The Unbelievers podcast did an episode about the beast of the land between the lakes. It's supposed to be a very ferocious type of dog man, from my understanding. Very ferocious, bloodthirsty dog man. So I don't know if I really want to hang out in the land between the lakes. Finding the portal to the hollow earth in Nahane is what attracts me to the idea. So, I don't know. I don't know how that all works out. But Dudleytown, definitely something I'll look into, Ginger. Thank you very much. Thank you much. Thank you mucho. Could there be magic in the Haunted Valley? Could there be something going on in there? That's beyond our scope of understanding. Cosmic Yogg-Sothoth of Dunwich says, it sounds like places such as Mount Shasta and Yosemite National Park. You go for a hike there, you're going missing 411 and David Politis special. Yeah, you're going to get missing 411. And that's not what you want to happen. You don't want to be hanging out in these places where you end up getting missing 411 because you went into the wilderness. Now, my fears were alleviated because, like, the prospect of me going there was predicated on being with a TV crew. And I assume survival experts or, other experts in the field, I would have just been going as the researcher or the host of some kind. But I'm sure they would have put together a competent team for such an expedition into such a remote and mysterious location. That's what I was confident in. Boys Won't Home says missing 411. I don't understand that reference, so I'll lay that down for you real quick. Missing Voyage Home. Missing 411 is a series of books by a guy named David Politis, who was a former police officer, if I'm not mistaken, who became a Bigfoot researcher. And then he noticed a vast majority of people disappearing in national parks. So he did all kinds of research into these clusters of disappearances that were occurring in national parks. So in some cases, these people would vanish and never be found again without a trace. In other cases, you'd have people that would have traveled incredible distances up over mountain ridges. Sometimes, they'd be very young people who would get lost, and then they'd find them, miles and miles away from where they originally went missing, in inaccessible places, with really bizarre stories sometimes. Missing 411 is really weird stuff. So, there are some documentaries out there you could check out. I think there's one on Amazon right now. But yeah, that's when we say missing 411, we're talking about the strange disappearances of people in the national parks. People that go to these places, sometimes they just vanish without a trace. Tina Tomaszewski has a nice little wrap-up of it here. David Politis' project was called Missing 411, a series of self-published books and 2 documentary films documenting unsolved cases of people who have gone missing in national parks and elsewhere. Yeah, I think he did a book about people go missing in the city and stuff, and it's just like, and that kind of ties into some of the myths about the Darrow and the Tarot, which fits in well with what we're talking about here tonight, because we are talking about the possibility of a Hollow Earth situation. And if the Shaver mystery were to be believed, the fact of the matter is that there would be subterranean creatures who would be snatching people off the surface to be taken down below for their nefarious purposes. So there's definitely that aspect of the Shaver mystery that comes into play when we talk about the prospect of a Hollow Earth, or perhaps some of these missing 411 cases. Now, I believe some of these mysterious disappearances are due more to elemental spirits who infest some of these remote areas of the world in an effort to avoid humanity at all costs. So I think it could be something to do with the elemental creatures, some of the Fey folk, if you will. And there's Tina with another link to Missing 411 on Amazon. It is Missing 411 is sad. It is sad stuff. It's tough. It's a tough watch. It's also scary stuff. Like if you're an outdoorsy person, it's also pretty scary. Jake Carr says, Shaver resonates with me. Scared me since I was very, very young. Shaver story is very weird, Jake. Very weird story. Shaver stories are very heartwarming. One I looked into a couple years ago, made a short video about. So yeah, Shaver Mystery is fundamental if you're into this weird stuff. I recommend you look into the Shaver Mystery. Richard Shaver was a weird guy. Ray Palmer was the guy who took his 10,000 word manuscript and turned it into I Remember Lemuria, which was basically a recounting of Shaver's time in the underground world, populated by Deros and Teros, who were humanoid yet robotic creatures left behind by a race of extraterrestrials who once populated the inner Earth and left behind their vast technology, which was now used by these robotic creatures.
Landing operation complete. You may disembark when ready. Good to have you, Commander.
Geekimus Prime, what if the Headless Valley is actually a secret prison for supernatural creatures run by aliens? Well, there are alien sightings there, so who knows what the aliens are doing up there? I mean, I say there are alien sightings, but I mean there are UFO sightings. There are UFO sightings. I don't know if anybody's ever encountered an actual alien within the boundaries of Benihana. But, we conflate the idea of the lights in the sky with that. Terrible T. Hellier series, what do you think? Never watched it. Never watched it. I used to follow, what was that? Newkirk, and what's the other person's name? Yeah, I used to follow both of them online, and they get very political, or more political than I like people to get, so I stopped following them. That was right before Hellier dropped. So I've been following them on Twitter and elsewhere. And then I just got turned off by their politics, so I stopped following them. But that was before Hellier dropped, so I never watched Hellier all the way through. I think I watched part of the first episode or something, but yeah, I never finished it. I know Tina watched it, right? Tina, you watched Hellier, didn't you? Yeah. Over Rainbow. I don't believe in aliens. All man-made. Alien invasion, please. The skylights are the same year in and year out. So I'm wondering, do you think people were seeing these skylights in ancient times, and did they just attribute them to celestial beings? And if so, why don't we really have record of them? I mean, there are scant records of people seeing weird things in the sky. Alexander the Great seeing shields in the sky, or the, pithy that fell in between two Roman armies that were about to go into battle. So there are these ancient stories of weird sightings in the sky, but it's not like there's a plethora of them. It's not like we see them written about in excess. The bogus height points out the cave paintings of aliens and saucers. Yeah, but that's what we interpret them to be now.
Outside the exclusion zone.
That's just what we interpret them to be now. Yeah, Voyage Home. They're mainly in paintings, says Voyage Home. So there is this idea that hidden within certain works of art, you can find references to these kind of craft in the sky. No, I don't know. I mean, I've seen these images and these paintings, and one wonders what they are and what they're meant to be. There's specifically one with the Madonna and child that I think of that comes to mind right away, where in the background there's a man with a dog kind of looking up at the sky, whatever this object is supposed to be. But why weren't other people writing about them? Or did this whole activity just start really ramping up in the 20th century?
4, 3, 2, 1.
Jupiter's realm. How in the world do you remember all of this information? I don't know, Jupiter. I read a lot. I do a lot of reading. Well, actually, I stopped reading for a while because I just didn't have the time to do it. But now that I'm back to, being able to read some more, I've got a couple books going right now. I try to read a couple at the same time. Not like one in one hand and one in the other, but I'll switch back and forth between two books that I've going at the same time.
Fuel scooping complete.
People, I guess you kind of think that's a little weird for some people. Like, why not just finish the one book you're working on? But I guess it's kind of like changing the channel on TV. You're just reading something else, But yeah, Jupiter's realm. I do a lot of reading. Team Tomasusi suggests I have the biggest brain in the world. I do not have the biggest brain in the world. But I appreciate the sentiment. Draven Dark, Thomas Theodore Maryland would be a great topic, Pete. Immortals, cryptids, and alternative history. Well, let me go ahead and jot that name down right here underneath Dudleytown from Ginger Like Jesus' suggestion here. So let's see. Thomas Theodore Maryland. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Draven Dark. I'll definitely look into that. Geekimus Prime asked, do you ever get nightmares from studying all this creepy stuff? Geekimus Prime, I don't remember any of my dreams. I don't remember a single dream ever. As far as I'm concerned, I don't dream at all. Oh, it's all right. I like it that way. But yeah, I don't ever remember any dreams. The Lanky Wanderer. I mean, back in ancient times, most people wouldn't have understood most of what they were looking at in the sky anyway. So would a strange light really be any more noteworthy than anything else? That's a good point. When you're used to stars, I mean, you got to figure people would be used to the idea of shooting stars and the movements of stars. But seeing the kind of lights in the sky that we see, associated with the UFO phenomenon, are quite a little bit different. He confirmed it. He's a Cylon. He doesn't dream. Where he spans his Pete Lucky Band. Yeah, I don't dream. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that I dream, but I don't remember them. Jake Carr suggests I get some Sailor's Tobacco, mugwort. I don't know what that is. And I don't know what purpose I would do that for. Sailor's Tobacco. Does it help you with your seasickness? Geekus Prime, would you ever narrate creepypastas if we sent them to you? Well, Geekus Prime, I did try that out on the channel for a while. I did do some creepypastas. I did it for about a week, and I tracked the numbers, and it went over terrible. So since I lost half the audience in the amount of time I did it, I decided to stop doing creepypastas. I will do narrations of some stuff, like if I have them. Like sacred texts and ancient poems and stuff like that for Dark Sayings. But I'm so sorry, I haven't had enough caffeine today. But as far as doing creepypasta, I don't see that happening. You know what? If you guys don't mind, I'm actually going to grab a cup of coffee real quick. So I'll be right back.
Successful. Engines disengaged.
And enjoy your stay.
I'm not prepared. Sorry about that, folks. I had to step away. My lovely wife said she'd make the cup of coffee for me so I could get back here and get back to the stream, which is more professional with me than just disappearing to go make coffee. But I don't want to be sitting here just jawing at you, yawning every 5 seconds. I need to get some more energy. I need to get some more oomph. Over Rainbow, that's why he doesn't dream. He never gets to REM. No, I don't. I sleep like 20 minutes a day. No, I sleep pretty good. I just don't remember my dreams. But I do dream of the Nahane Valley as an interesting place to explore. It'd be like really on that list of places I'd love to see. Predominantly because I think the entrance to the Hollow Earth theory is the most interesting part of it. So yeah, Nahane Valley, everybody, a mysterious place along the Continental Divide in the Northwestern Territories of Canada. So it's really out there. I want you guys to really kind of grasp how far out there in the middle of nowhere this place is. It's really out there. And for some people, the belief is that not only is it abundant with cryptids like the Wahila and Bigfoot and the Nahane Bear, but it's also the place of UFO sightings and a possible entrance to the Hollow Earth. Now, the Hollow Earth is a very big interest to me. Ever since I started doing research into John Cleve Sims Jr., who was himself a great proponent of the Hollow Earth back in the 1800s. He even traveled around with his Hollow Earth globe, giving lectures about the Hollow Earth. You know. So, why the Hollow Earth? Why Nahane? I couldn't tell you exactly why it's believed that Nahane is an entrance to the Hollow Earth. I just know that it is the case that they are, you know, it is, you know, mysterious. Perhaps that's why it's linked with Hollow Earth. There's Tina posting a map of the Nahane Valley for you guys. Hey, little Indio, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in tonight. Welcome to the show. Terrible T. Pete, a review of each 411 book per episode would be good. Also, 411 is, I believe, helpful to staying safe in the wilderness. The wilderness isn't Disney World. It can get you. Well, that's Terrible T. That's why I stay out of the wilderness. And I was only interested in going into the wilderness with a professional team who was there for the purpose of filming and researching it. Well, Geekimus Prime, I wonder if there's any special artifacts in the Headless Valley, like a crystal skull. I don't know if there's any special artifacts or anything like that. I mean, there could be something related to the Dene people. Maybe something to that First Nation group. You know, like you're saying, there were the possible ancestors of the Navajo. So who knows if there's any kind of artifacts that might be left over from that time period that would be considered of great significance culturally. Got some coffee here, thank goodness. Just what I needed. Just what I needed. Real News headquarters. I'm 1,200 feet from a moving vortex. Area 51, Thompson Park, New York. And I have a chupacabra on audio. I posted it on my Facebook page. You got chupacabras all the way up in New York? That's far, far away from chupacabra's stomping grounds, usually located in the southwestern United States, or where they originated from, Puerto Rico. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the outdoors, but that said, I'd rather go up the mountains than down the shore. I'm not a big fan of the beach. Not a big fan of the beach, but I don't mind the mountains. Used to go up the mountains with my friends in my 20s. It was a pretty good time. Little India has a pretty good comment here. Pete, in your opinion, where does this valley rank in a list of mysterious natural areas like forest, deserts, areas in the oceans, etc.? Well, in Little India, I put this right up there with places like the Bermuda Triangle, because we are talking about a confluence of places that have vortex qualities here. So I'd put it up there with Bermuda Triangle or with Skinwalker Ranch. Maurice Spin, what about the Hollow Earth? Well, this Hollow Earth, I think, you know, as it's described,
Landing gear retracted.
is ruled over by a great city called Agartha. And in Agartha lives one of these ascended masters from Theosophy called Sanat Kumara, who is believed to be the king of the world, quote unquote. And the king of the world there also is in possession of something called the Chiamanti Stone. So the Chiamanti Stone fell from space in the distant past and broke apart, but it has the ability to grant wishes. So there was a guy named Nicholas Roerich who was a Russian painter. He also started a movement, like a peace-centered movement, and he was at the White House. They signed the Roerich Pact, like with all these nations. But he went to Shambhala. Well, he went to Tibet to find an entrance to the Hollow Earth to return the Chiamani Stone piece that he had. Did a whole video about that guy too.
Clear of the station. Safe travels.
It's called the Chiamanti Stone.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Lesser Logic. Hey, Pete, just dropping in to say hi. Well, hello to you, Lesser Logic. Good to see you. Lanky Wanderer, not a fan of the beach. Finally, someone like me, just not a fan of it, Lanky Wanderer. I don't like the sand. I don't like the sun. Don't like the ocean at all. Don't want to get sucked away in the ocean. Don't want some kind of creature to come up out of the ocean and get me either. Don't like that. Just don't really dig it. Not really a big fan.
System scan.
I think that the ocean is for fish. I wouldn't mind fishing in the ocean, but then you got to get out on a boat and you're out all day. So it's a big commitment to actually go do that. But in theory, it sounds like a lot of fun. Let me see here. Cyrus of Oz. There has to be a Hollow Earth entrance in North America. Rumored on every continent, but not North America, save maybe Mount Shasta. Well, Mount Shasta is an entrance to the underground city of Telos, where the Lemurians went. So definitely something going on there. But the Hollow Earth entrance in North America is going to be in the Hane Valley. That's where it's going to be.
3, 2, 1.
Lesser Logic, I love your P talk about Agartha. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Agartha sounds like such a fantastic place to me. You know, I mean, this eternal city, this eternal underground city that has existed for millennia in the center of the world, where, you know, the kingdoms of the Hollow Earth are all peaceful, and there's all kinds of extinct animals roaming around and megafauna, and they have high technology. The whole idea of it is just so fantastic. It's captivating to me. Absolutely captivating information. Where you span the Dragon Balls. Well, the Chintamani Stone is kind of like the Dragon Balls. The Chintamani Stone is kind of like the Dragon Balls in a way.
Fuel scoop disengaged.
Geekimus Prime suggests, what if you go fishing and accidentally catch a mermaid? What then? Well, you're gonna be pretty famous if you catch a mermaid while fishing. I've seen some pretty good art that depicts that, but the mermaids were really out of this world looking. They were like more fish than they were people. And I remember there was a comic book a couple years back that really depicted sea creature art style like that. I think it was called Long Harbor, but it was like had these kind of like fish people in it, from my recollection. Red Falcon 1776. I heard there's a path under Mammoth Cave to the inner Earth. I believe that's the case too. I believe that's the case. I think there is a way to the inner Earth in Mammoth Cave. If you notice, I don't know if I got a pin at the top of the chat tonight. Let me see which one it is. It is the map of the Hollow Earth t-shirt available on my Teespring store. Now, on that map, you will see Mammoth Cave connected to the Hollow Earth. You will see an entrance there. You'll also see Darrow Caves. You'll see Admiral Byrd, his flight path in and back out. There's Tina with the link to the alien artifact of incredible power that could change the world, the Chintamani Stone. Man, I used to know how to title a video, didn't I? Look at that. Ancient artifact of incredible power could change the world, Chintamani. How many views is on that, Tina? Tina, I love my Hollow Earth map mask, she says. Well, I'm glad you do. I think that's the next one I'm going to pick up, the Hollow Earth one. I just really like the design a lot. It's like one of my favorites. Maurice Span says, well, we have King of the Earth. He's doing a bang-up job. Well, the King of the Earth actually supposed to ride out with all his armies at a point where things get too bad on the surface and then take control. That's supposed to happen with the King of the Earth. He's going to show up when it gets too bad with all his armies and take control of the surface world. So the time has not yet come for Sanakumara to take his place as King of the Earth. Tina says, I think just under 15K. Just 15K on that? That's pretty good. Voyage Home, do you have the Mercy with your logo? Oh, do you mean merch? We have merch with my logo? I don't really. I've got one shirt called Creepy Little Book Alchemy, where it actually says Creepy Little Book on it, and it has a really cool design of a, like, you'd have to check it out. It's really rad. But for the most part, my shirts don't actually say Creepy Little Book on them. Most of them are just designs inspired by things I think are cool. I didn't really make them necessarily for them to advertise the show, much as I made them to be a place where you could get pretty cool designs based on the esoteric and extraterrestrial. So not too much stuff with my logo on them at all. don't really have a set logo either. I just kind of put my name on things.
Scan detected.
Cyrus Voss, does the king of the earth equal Jesus? No. Sanat Kumara is not Jesus in this equation. Jesus is a different guy named Jesus Sananda, who's up in the spaceships with Ashtar of the Ashtar Galactic Command. So there is a tie-in between the Hollow Earth and the space people.
500
There is a
meters to
tie-in
touchdown.
there. That is something that's definitely tied in here. So when we're talking about Hollow Earth,
Deployed.
we're also talking about space people in the form of the Ashtar Galactic Command. Lady Nada Afra, Sanat Kumara, Jesus Sananda, Lord Ashtar, you know, all these characters that kind of comprise these different Kohans or rays of light. These are etheric beings. And in some cases, they exist in places like Shambhala, in the etheric plane above the Gobi Desert, or in other places like the Hollow Earth in Agartha. Oh, Voyage Home. I like the opening pic you have for the show. That was actually created by a viewer and sent to me. It was just the animation. I found some free music here on YouTube and threw it in the background of that. I think it's honestly, I feel like it's a little bit dated for what I do now, because I don't actually have glasses anymore, nor do I look as cool as I used to. So, so I feel like it's a little doesn't bear out so well as it did once before. Draven Dark, what is the said subject at present? We're talking about the Nahane Valley in Canada, which has cryptids, UFO sightings, possible entrance to the Hollow Earth, and Bigfoot. It's also a place where people enter and sometimes don't come back out because they're found later with their heads missing. Hence the name of the Headless Valley, or the Valley of the Headless Men, Dead Man's Valley, Funeral Ridge, all these different places in the park. Because it's a national park now. It's Canadian National Park. Oh, Cyrus Voss. Oh, God, now I'm lost. Where are you lost at, Cyrus? I'll try to reel you back in here. Maurice Spance says, Pete, you always look cool. Thank you, Maurice. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I think I looked a lot cooler a couple years back when I was probably about $150, fitting all my slim fit clothes. Had a little different setup going on. Had a little different energy going on at the time. I miss those short videos as much as you guys do. But like I said, nobody watches them if I make them. So that's why I don't make them so much. Not like that doing this doesn't have its own challenges every night, but you know how it goes. Jeff McClure, I love the whole Hollow Earth talk. You laugh about it, then stop and realize that it's all plausible. For me, the Hollow Earth is one of the most interesting things to get into here. I love talking about the Hollow Earth. In fact, we might talk about the Hollow Earth tomorrow night extensively, so I can kind of cover some of these more nuanced aspects of what the Hollow Earth is for some of the stuff that we kind of just glossed over tonight. Because I'm talking about all these characters from the Hollow Earth, like Sanat Kumara and Jesus Sananda, and how they're tied in with these aliens, and how there's a magic stone that fell from space, and the King of the World's down there, and he's got it, and he's holding on to it. And this all started with us talking about a remote location in Canada, obviously. So, I mean, we do get down to some weird rabbit holes on this show, obviously. Obviously, that's what happens. Jupiter's Realm for $4.99. Thank you, Jupiter's Realm. Much appreciated. Very nice of you. Jupiter's Realm says, I am happy I room rated your channel. I'm happy you room rated my channel too, Jupiter's Realm. I really do appreciate it. You know, that room raid was absolutely great. I got a really great boost of subscribers out of it. And it seems like a good number of people actually stuck around and have checked out the channel and have found stuff that they've liked. You know, and I only hope that over time we can help build this, you know, community around here so that we can engage with more people in these interesting conversations and, you know, branch out to more and more interesting topics as we go along. So thank you again, Jupiter's Realm. Pete wore tight pants. We're big pants people now. Oh, no. Maurice Span. Oh, no, the image of Pete in skinny jeans. Yikes. No, I don't wear jeans, Maurice. I don't wear jeans. I wear Dockers. I wear Alpha Cut Dockers. They're jean cut, but they're Dockers. So I don't actually wear denim. I haven't worn jeans in years. But ever since I've been working at home, I've just been wearing sweatpants. I Saw a Moose. Old videos, still great resources anyway, as are new ones. Thank you, I Saw a Moose. I always wanted to make sure that the videos I made were evergreen and could be watched at any given time to provide you with information that was, you know, going to be valuable, whether it was the first day that the video was recorded or whether it was 5 to 10 years down the road. So whether or not there's been great developments in some of these topics is up for debate, but for the most part, those short videos are just a great library of content for you to go through. And I mean, I've covered so many topics in those short videos, and some of them are pretty rare ones. Man Ray of Hope, that tower video you did is pretty good for beginners. Yeah, I appreciate that. My buddy Sean came over and we did that one together. He had his own channel for a while. I don't think he produces content anymore, though. All right. So listen, we're up to the last minute of the show here. So I'm going to ask you guys to check out the description of the video where you'll find links to my Twitter, email, and Instagram. If you're going to follow me anywhere, follow me on Instagram. And all that might change in the future. I might see about different platforms to be on. Just the way things are on social media these days. I don't know where I'm going to stick around for a while or where I'm going to go. But for the point being, follow me on Instagram. I've also got a second channel called Dark Sayings where I do audiobook recordings. I've got a Patreon where you can support the show, and big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, both new and old. Helping support the show means a lot to me, and thank you again. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, I've got one tier. It's $1 a month. That's $0.25 a week, less than the price of a cup of coffee. And I hope that you feel what goes on here every night is worth that, and you'll consider signing up. You can always cancel after the first month if you want to think of it like a tip jar. I've also got, as I mentioned, the Teespring store. If you want to pick up some merch that's inspired by the extraterrestrial or the esoteric, check it on out. Click the link at the top of the chat or click the link in the description of the video to go directly to the Teespring store and check out all the different merch there. I've got leggings for the ladies or for the men if you're into leggings. I've got tote bags. I've got masks. I've got shirts. I've got all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, check it on out. You'll find something you love, I promise. And that's going to do it for tonight. Let me go ahead and play the thing real quick. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. There we go.
This kind of broadcasting only works in this country. Here in America, we put on the programs that you enjoy, and we simply come to you and ask you to support them. Help this system of broadcasting work. We need to hear from you. We also are looking for a lot of new subscribers right now. So please become a new subscriber and help us reach our goal of 12,000 new subscribers.
But the most important thing is to get that money in and into our studios right away so that we can bring you more programs like this. And you can do that on a Visa, MasterCard, or American Express.
All right, everybody, I want to say thank you to Ginger Viking Jesus, and Deranged Lunatic for your generous super chats. And Jupiter's Realm. Sorry, I almost forgot you there. Ginger Viking Jesus, Deranged Lunatic, and Jupiter's Realm for your generous super chats. They're much appreciated. Never expected, but always appreciated. Thank you very much. Thank you, Team Tomazuski, for moderating tonight. Thank you for Mecha Random for moderating as well. Thanks for both being here, ladies. Do appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. And as we do, this has been the Creepy Little Book Live. I've been your host, Pete. And until next time, stay creeped out.
Mind your speed and your surroundings. Avoid collisions at all costs. Always proceed directly to your allotted bay to avoid unnecessary delays and/or ship destruction.
Welcome to the Creepy Little Book Live. I'm your host, Pete, and tonight we're going beyond the hollow earth. But before we begin, let me say a quick hello to everybody here tonight. A quick stream through the chat and saying some quick hellos. That's what I like to do. How do you do this evening? First and foremost, let me say hello to Tina Tomazuski, our moderator here in the chat. Thank you for being here tonight, Tina. Thanks for your assistance with moderating the chat and for dropping those links with the quickness every time I reference one of these weird old videos that I've done. Coming in too, we got some super stickers. Deranged Lunatic for 99 cents. It's a hot dog. Thank you, Deranged Lunatic. Much appreciated. G Sing for 99 cents with a poop emoji. Thank you, G Sing. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. And Tori Lotus for 99 cents with a shades wearing smiley face. And I'm digging it. I'm digging it, everybody. Thank you very much. And Rainy Steps coming in there. Rainy Steps. Coming in with a Canadian $3.99. Hello, sir. Well, hello to you, Rainy Steps. How do you do? How do you do this evening? Good to see you. Glad you could be here. Thank you all for tuning in, one and all. Do appreciate your time. Do appreciate your hour. Do appreciate your patience as I was running a bit late. Sometimes the children wake up in the night. You got to get them back to bed. It can be a bit of a hindrance in getting here on time. But that's on me. That's my problem, not yours. So I appreciate if you stuck around and waited for me to show up as late as I usually do. So I apologize. Mitz Meltil, how you doing, Mitz? Blessings, Peanut. Blessings to you too, Mitz. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Observe station
Blue Eye Chow
regulation.
Wins hanging out. Good to see you, Blue Eye Chow. And Marjorie Ford, always a pleasure to see you, Marjorie. Thanks for being here. Thank you all, one and all. Thank you all for tuning in. Now, the Hollow Earth is a fascinating subject. It's a fascinating one. It's one that I revisit every so often because it's just too compelling. It inspires too much curiosity in me to not revisit it over and over again. And there's so much to talk about when it comes to the Hollow Earth. Years and years of this traditional mythology that's been built up around the idea of whether or not the Earth is hollow and inhabited within, as was claimed by John Cleve Sims Jr. all the way back in the 1800s. 1818 to be exact.
Frameshift.
Yes, it was Captain John Cleve Sims Jr. He was an American Army officer, trader, and lecturer. Best known for his 1818 variant of the Hollow Earth theory, which introduced the concept of openings to the inner world at the poles. Yes, sir. If not for John Cleve Sims Jr., we wouldn't have our modern picture of the Hollow Earth as we do when I even speak the words. When you imagine large openings at the poles, great, vast, chasmic openings for one to enter and exit, so vast that one, like Admiral Byrd, as Draven Dark points out, could fly into it without even realizing
Frameshift
he was there.
drive charging.
That is before the inhabitants of the Hollow Earth took control of his aircraft and landed on their own. Advanced technology exists within the Hollow Earth. Again, we speak of secret cities that exist down there,
2.
capital of which is Agartha, home to the king of the world, according to Theosophy. Sanat Kumara. This all has to do with a fantastic plethora of New Age belief systems. Just a hodgepodge of different New Age belief.
Fuel
And
skipping.
within this hodgepodge of New Age belief, we encounter a mystery, a deep mystery, one as deep as the Earth itself. Whether or not the subject at
Fuel
hand
scooping
is
complete.
one true, one that we accept as truth, one that we reject out of hand, or one that we entertain as a possibility. And I kind of sit somewhere in the middle there. I kind of entertain the Hollow Earth as a possibility. I'm not firmly convinced the Earth is hollow. I'd like to believe that there's something going on there. I think there's enough evidence in the form of writings like Edidorfa, or The Smoky God, or Vril. These kind of early works that speak to these Hollow Earth inhabitants, that speak to these encounters within the Hollow Earth. I think all of them have some merit to them. And I think within that we find more curiosities that points us towards this direction of whether or not the planet is as we're told. Thank you, Tina, dropping a quick link there for the Hollow Earth Journey to Agartha. There's another stream we did on the topic. There's several videos on the channel regarding Agartha you will find regarding the Hollow Earth. Marjorie making a great point here. The Bible says over and over about on the earth and in the earth. And Cain was banished from the face of the earth. So where could he have gone? Could Cain have been banished to the Hollow Earth? Could the Hollow Earth be a place where even antediluvian life forms from prior to the flood still exist? Could we be talking about a place with beasts of even the Ice Age? Possible woolly mammoth have been cited as so much as places associated with the Hollow Earth. Could this be the case? Mitz Meltil points out, if you're playing the game at home, I just mentioned the antediluvian world. That's 2 now thus far. So if you are playing the home game, that's 2 sips of your soda pop. Jesse Miller's here, everybody. How you doing, Jesse Miller? Good to see you, my man. Jesse Miller says, what jerk thumbs down Hollow Earth? I don't know. You know, some people just thumbs down. That's what happens. That's just how it goes. Red Fox Punks, didn't John Adams or one of the presidents or VPs fund an investigation into Hollow Earth? No. At the time, the president was William Henry Harrison, I believe. Because Cleve Sims Jr., was it Henry Harrison? I don't know. What year was this? So 1818. 1818. Let's see. Now I'm very curious. I have to know. James Monroe. So James Monroe was the president. And at that time, John Cleve Sims Jr. had taken whatever money he had and sent a declaration to the princes and kings and presidents of the world looking to raise funds to do his own expedition into the Hollow Earth. And unfortunately, he was not able to raise that money. So the expedition never took place. So that was the case with it. Magnus Zero, how you doing, Magnus? Been a minute. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. The thumbs down still counts as interaction. Yeah, but not good interaction. Not good interaction. You really want those thumbs up if anything's possible. And speaking of thumbs up, we've got about 62 people in the room right now. If you don't mind, please hit that like button for me. It really does help with the algorithm. So if you don't mind, go on ahead. Patrick Bellamere, how you doing, Patrick? Good to see you tonight. Thank you for being here. Patrick brings up Operation High Jump and Admiral Byrd. This was an endeavor that was undertaken shortly after World War II, where a group of military personnel was sent to Antarctica under the leadership of Admiral Richard Byrd. Whatever they encountered up there sent them limping back home.
1,000 meters from touchdown.
Defeated by whatever power holds control over the Arctic, or the Antarctic, rather. But it was Admiral Byrd's secret diary that would really seal the deal for everybody regarding the Hollow Earth. I think it would be remiss of me not to mention Admiral Byrd's secret diary when we talk about Hollow Earth, because this purported document seems to speak to Admiral Byrd's experience within the Hollow Earth and his encounter with the inhabitants thereof. Angel Beam asks, what are you burning behind you? Oh, Angel Beam, that is incense. I've got some incense going behind me. Little frankincense and myrrh. It smells like a church in here. I like it that way. So yeah, that's what I got, a little frankincense and myrrh. That's what I got burning behind me. Geekimus Prime. So is the Hollow Earth that thing from the Will Ferrell movie with the lizards and the tunics? To some degree, if you're talking about Land of the Lost, the Hollow Earth could be very much like Land of the Lost for all we know. It could contain prehistoric life forms, the size of which would be unfathomable today to us, but would have been common in the ancient past. So who knows if there are very large mammals of some kind that populate the Hollow Earth? And you know, it could be the case. It could be the case that Land of the Lost parallels the Hollow Earth in many regards. But that's just how it goes. We don't know. We don't know for sure. It is a grand mystery. Jacob M for $5. Thank you so much, Jacob M. Much appreciated. And thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for being here. Do you think any current high-level politician would ever talk seriously about Hollow Earth? And if not, what do we do to make a difference? Well, I think the Hollow Earth is such a fringe idea that nobody's ever going to talk about it seriously. It's just never going to come up in a serious conversation. So with that out the window, we have to assume that all we can do is spread the idea of the Hollow Earth until people believe enough they start asking questions about it. Or the Hollow Earth comes to us first, which very well would be the case if those who believe in the New Age idea of Sanat Kumara, the king of the world, inhabiting the Hollow Earth, is true. That at some point when life on Earth is threatened beyond recognition, when things get so bad that there's no difference to be made here by anybody on the surface world, that is when Sanat Kumara would lead his armies out of the Hollow Earth into the surface world, and then by doing so, help restore order to a disordered world. So that's kind of how that goes. Red Monarch for $5. Hey, Red Monarch. I'm always here sometimes. I just have nothing to say. You're an inspiration to a lot of people, brother. Don't stop spread the knowledge. Bong. Thank you, Red Monarch. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. And thanks for being here all the time, dude. It really means a lot to me. I appreciate everybody who shows up here night after night after we delve into these weird topics together. I just, I look forward to it every night. It's a big part of my life. So thank you for being here. Thank you one and all. Draven Dark, the Green Twins from Woolpit, they claim they came from a land inside the Earth as well. Yeah. And that land was called Saint Jamesville or something like that. It was named after a Christian saint. And they lived under the earth when the children were green. Hey nah, how you doing, hey nah? Do you know anything about the supposed connection between Shambhala and the Hollow Earth? Well, for most of my research, I had been under the impression that Shambhala was either located in one of two places. Either Shambhala exists as a physical city within the Hollow Earth, or Shambhala exists as an etheric city that floats high above the Gobi Desert. So Shambhala is one of those two places. Either Shambhala is completely etheric, and we can't perceive it because it is etheric, and it floats above the Gobi Desert, or Shambhala has been relocated into the Hollow Earth. But I think either possibility is plausible when we're talking about such insane theories, I think it all works out. Hunan Hound of the Valnor. I don't get how Hollow Earth works. If it's like people think it is, then what generates the magnetic field of the core spinning is what is supposed to do that. Could there be a spinning core in the Hollow Earth? There's a sun. There's a central sun at the core. So within the center of the Earth is a sun of some kind that lights the inner Earth and gives it warmth. That is the core of our planet. So the core of the planet, which is hollow like an eggshell, is this central sun of the Hollow Earth. Geekos Prime says the king of the world fight dinosaurs daily to keep himself sharp until the world is in danger. Who knows? Who knows how the king of the world's keeping himself in shape? Because there could be dinosaurs in the Hollow Earth. I mean, that's possible as well. If you've ever seen Iron Sky 2, you would see the depictions of dinosaurs within the Hollow Earth. Pretty crazy movie, those Iron Sky films. Could be a lot of tipping the hat to what's going on out there in the world when you think about it in those movies. Could be a lot of that. Maurice Spann suggested maybe Hollow Earth gateways are portals to nearby dimensions. Just throwing that out there. And when we do talk about the idea of stargates and interworld dimensions, perhaps the Stargate transmission travel technology is something that is mastered by the Hollow Earth. Perhaps that's something they still have access to in some way, shape, or form. So I think that that's probably the case there. Silent Observer says there's a mountain in California that's supposedly a gateway to the inner Earth. I also heard the halls of Amenti underneath the pyramids. Well, Silent Observer, you're talking about Mount Shasta, I believe. And Mount Shasta is home to a secret city called Telos, inhabited by the Lemurians. After the destruction of their continent, they came as refugees to Mount Shasta and lived in an underground city there to avoid more Earth changes. So, yeah, absolutely. Could be an entrance to Telos, the city inside the Earth. And the halls of Amenti beneath the pyramids. Yes, absolutely. Edgar Casey, I believe, spoke to that. Also, with the Thoth work as well. Jacob M. for $20. Thank you so much, Jacob M. Much appreciated. Very generous of you. Thank you for addressing my question. Keep on keeping on. Well, thank you, Jacob M. We're always happy to take people's questions. We keep this conversation flowing. You know, I think that's one of the best things I love about this show is like as we go on, we're interjecting new ideas, new perspectives into these topics, and it really helps chug along this machine that we've built here. This curiosity machine, if you will, just processing information and spitting out theory craft at the same time. It's all fantastic to me. I really love it. Love every minute of it. So this whole thing with Hollow Earth is there's supposed to be several entrances to it around the world. Places like Mammoth Caves, places like beneath the pyramids. I believe there's a cave in Vietnam that's supposed to be an entrance. Of course, the entrances at the poles. We mentioned Nahane Valley last night. Nahane Valley was the topic of discussion last night, and that's where this whole Hollow Earth idea came in because I mentioned that Hollow Earth was believed to be enterable through an entrance located in Nahane Valley. So that's how this all kind of came about last night, which is why I thought it important we address the topic today. Augie, isn't Shambhala in the Himalayan mountains? Used to be. Then it either moved to the Gobi Desert or to underground. And that's the argument. Where is Shambhala? Where is this, sacred city at right now? Is it floating in the etheric plane above the Gobi? Is it somewhere underground in the Himalayas? Or is it deep within the Hollow Earth? And it could be within the Hollow Earth underneath the Himalaya Mountains.
Scan detected.
Hey, what's up? It's Courtney. How you doing, Courtney? Thanks for tuning in tonight. We were talking about the Hollow Earth this evening. Fantastic and interesting topic regarding the idea that the Earth is itself like a hollow shell of an egg, where a part inside people inhabit this inner shell of the Earth in a world that has been preserved from Earth changes in a way that we have not experienced here on the surface. So with that in mind, there could be all forms of flora and fauna that are extinct here on the surface world, yet exist, still thriving within the Hollow Earth, which is powered by its own sun. And I believe was it Jorgensen with the Smoky God? I believe that was Jorgensen was the person who wrote the Smoky God. I'd have to double check that. But it was the story of these two guys in a boat, father and son, who, while out exploring and fishing, they encounter people from within the Hollow Earth who were gigantic people, and who take them with them back to their home and show them their world. And then they leave and they, recant their exploits in this story of the Smoky God. But they said the whole inner Earth was lit by a central smoky-looking sun. So there must be something to that. Dr. Foreman Colossus coming in here with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Dr. Foreman Colossus. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. That's very generous of you. Thank you so much, Dr. Foreman Colossus. And Red Monarch for $2. Thank you, Red Monarch. Thank you very much, Red Monarch. Thank you. Red Monarch says, King of the Earth is a giant reptilian. Mom. The King of the Earth, I don't think he's a reptilian. I think the King of the Earth is an ascended master by all intents and purposes. If you look towards the theosophical arguments regarding it and the New Age beliefs surrounding it. And this ties into the UFO phenomenon. You can say, how do you know this all tie into UFOs, Pete? Of course it does. Of course this absolutely ties into UFOs, because if you accept the idea that at the center of the hollow earth, there is a city named Agartha. And at the center of this city is a monarch called the King of the World, named Sanat Kumara. That opens up the floodgates for all of the other weird esoteric beliefs that surround these Ascended Masters. And these Ascended Masters are also associated with the immortal Count Saint Germain, Sanat Kumara himself, the King of the World, Jesus Sananda, Ashtar of the Galactic Command,
Disengaged.
Lady Nada Afra. The list goes on. There's all of this plethora of characters that kind of come together here. Under Courtney, are you texting me during the show? You know what else drives me crazy, Courtney? People text me during the show. No. I almost opened somebody's silly video. I would have had a copyright claim for sure. Okay, you're telling me about that. I did a show about that, Court, about the UFOs in 180 days. Did a show about it. Gotta be paying attention. Gotta be paying attention. We do class here every night. Let's see here. Jacob M for $5. Thank you again, Jacob M. Much appreciated. Jacob M says, any recommended books currently? Well, I've been reading 2 books lately. I've been reading Thomas J. Gordon and David R. Gordon's Rules for Retrogrades, as well as the Manual for Spiritual Warfare by Paul Thigpen. So those are the 2 books I've been reading lately. They both have a very Catholic perspective, one less than the other. The Rules for Retrogrades is more of a political, with a touch of Catholicism to it. The Manual for Spiritual Warfare, I think, applies to any Christian for the first half of the book, and then it gets very Catholic in the second half. But yeah, that's what I've been reading, Jacob. So that's what I've been getting into. But thank you for the super chat, much appreciated. And Perth Fence Colorbond Fencing Specialist for Australian $2. Thank you, Perth Fence Colorbond Fencing Specialist. The cave in Vietnam is awesome and has its own weather. Couldn't you believe that? So if a cave inside, if just a cave here that we know of in the earth has its own weather, then how can we not presume that such a thing as wondrous and as awesome as the Hollow Earth can exist?
Core dynamics, Bravo Alpha November.
A full-blown secondary ecosystem.
Will be granted upon request.
Planetary-wide, full-blown ecosystem. Hey nah for $1. Thank you, Hey nah. Much appreciated. Very nice of you. Thank you so much. Patrick Bellamere, the moon is thought to be hollow also. Rang like a bell after NASA supposedly crashed a spacecraft on the surface. Yeah, I've done shows about the hollow moon here on the channel. But yeah, the moon is supposedly hollow as well. I think that there's probably more than a few hollow planets. More than a few hollow planets. What if Venus itself is hollow? What if Venus is hollow and it is inhabited within, and people like Val Valiant, the real deal, and people like some of these characters, like Ashtar, who's supposed to be Venusian on the etheric plane, exist? Well, I mean, what if that's all par for the course when you take into account all these strange extraterrestrial beings that supposedly crisscross our skies? What if there's something to that?
Landing gear deployed.
Brian TV, how you doing, Brian TV? What's going on, my man? Brian TV says the Earth is hollow with the sun inside like an egg. A lizard egg is also round. Thank you, Brian TV. Exactly, the Earth is hollow with a sun inside like an egg, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. And that's how it works in the hollow Earth, or at least from my perspective. Now, I know some have the idea that the Earth has a hollow crust with vast chasms inside. Now, I don't preclude that idea at all. Like that's possible that could exist as well. But it could exist in conjunction with a hollow Earth, not instead of it. So when we talk about Darrow and Tarot caves, like the Hollow Earth Shaver mystery that Tina linked a little earlier, if we talk about that, then we are talking about the idea of a hollow crust where these creatures inhabit large sections of the Earth's crust in hollow caverns, or in their created caverns that they made artificially, as Phil Schneider would have talked about when he was talking about the various deep underground military bases, some created by us, some that already existed because of the extraterrestrials. Oh, Bo Right Chow Wins coming on in here with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Bo Right Chow Wins. Bo Right Chow asks, hey, Pete, would you look into Japanese or Chinese folklore and legends? Well, absolutely I would. Let me go ahead and jot that down, because that might be something fun to look into. Folklore and legend. I'm just jotting down a note to myself. Just jotting down a quick note to myself so I know to go ahead and check that out after the show. Now, Marjorie Forbes says Valiant Thor was a clone. He had no belly button. Could have been a clone. Who knows how many Venusians are clones? I mean, maybe that's the way they do it on Venus. Maybe that's the way it works on Venus. Angel Beam, an Egyptian doctor, Mustafa Mahmoud, talked about Hollow Earth, and he thought monsters lived there who would be released in the Day of Judgment. Well, you know, that's par for the course for monotheistic faiths, especially the major ones of the Earth, to kind of believe in. For those who believe in the pseudepigraphal work, the Book of Enoch, for those who kind of accept that and have incorporated it into their belief system, the idea that there were giants on the earth in those days is a matter of fact. It's something that people will, you know, defend and believe in wholeheartedly. That, you know, the Bible mentions it in Genesis 6. Enoch elaborates on it and provides an entire backstory for it. But in that backstory, what else we find out is the idea that these creatures, or these watchers and fallen angels, were banished to an imprisonment under the earth, and that's where they are now, and that's you know, very similar to the revelation of John of Patmos, where he speaks about the bottomless pit where Satan will be cast for 1,000 years. So, you know, we got this idea of being chained up in the earth for the fallen watcher angels. We got this idea of Satan being bound and thrown into the earth for 1,000 years. So, I mean, what is going on in the Hollow Earth? Is it a place? It's not described as a hell realm by anybody who's encountered it. Hunan, Hound of the Valador. How you doing, Hunan, Hound of the Valador? It makes me wonder if Tre Nag, the place of the eternal youth, is Irish legend, is in the Hollow Earth. Could be. Some of these places could exist within the Hollow Earth. Some of these places of legend. I mean, you're talking about Avalon, High Brazil, Hyperborea, you know, these kind of places that may or may not have existed. Maybe they have some connection to the Hollow Earth as well. Or maybe the cities of the Fantastic Earth are magnificent and splendorous in a way that we don't even recognize here on the surface. Gigas Prime, do you think the Hollow Earth has internet? I think the Hollow Earth has advanced technology that would make the internet look like child's play. Yeah. I think the Hollow Earth would have vastly advanced technology. Flying saucers, stuff like that. They could be making them there, or they could be in contact with extraterrestrials already. I mean, it's just a possibility exists that either they are making the flying saucers there, or they're already in contact with the extraterrestrials. I mean, it's one or the other. Angel Beam, do you think the Hollow Earth is hot? I don't know. I think the Hollow Earth would probably be one constant temperature unless it has weather. And would it be large? It'd probably be large enough to have weather. So maybe some places in the Hollow Earth would be hot and other places wouldn't. Pseudanoid says, I was first exposed to the Hollow Earth theory by a D&D campaign setting Hollow World as a young lad in the 80s. Check them out. I never played D&D myself. Never played any D&D myself. Peter DeRosa. Thank you, Peter DeRosa, for $3.99. Thank you very much. Peter DeRosa says the Earth is hollow. The Godzilla movies proved it. Well, the Godzilla movies were interesting in the fact that they acknowledged the hollow Earth, or even the theory of it. So I thought that was a very interesting aspect to the Godzilla films. At least it's Legendary Pictures, I think, is making them now. Cosmic Yogg-Sothoth of Dunwich. World War II bad guys riding dinosaurs into and out of UFOs, dwarfs, Bigfoot, and Dogman, all living down there. Yeah, all of that could be going on down there. Really, the sky's the limit when we think about what could be going on with the Hollow Earth. I mean, we're talking about something that's so fantastic and so beyond the realm of our perception that the sky is absolutely the limit when you can speculate what is going on down there. It's unfathomable. Sorry, everybody had a sneezing fit. Much better now. Yeah, Jeff McClure, Hollow Earth got one hell of a party happening. Absolutely. Hollow Earth is got to be one of the most wild theories out there because it's a convergence of a lot of strange theories. You've got, like I said, the idea that there are cities down there, the idea that it's been visited by people with reputable natures like like Admiral Byrd, the presence of UFOs flying in and out of it, its openings at the poles and other locations around the Earth in these deep caves and caverns. You know, it's like a Dyson sphere almost. What if the Earth was an ancient Dyson sphere? All right. What if it's not actually an organic planet? What if it is an ancient Dyson sphere? and enough bombardment from the surface eventually caused life to spring up here. But what if life came from the inside originally? But brand guards, I guess the topic is a matter of being subjective. One's hollow earth is another's cavity, minus the stories of having a light source. If it does, it's artificial in structure. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's where the whole Dyson sphere idea kind of comes in. What if there is some kind of reason to believe that the outer shell of the Earth isn't inhabited within the inside? Patrick Bellamere mentions the deep underground military bases of Phil Schneider. Yeah, I mean, Phil Schneider came across existing cavities that existed within the Earth. But I don't know if they were hollow Earth or hollow crust. I think we're talking about hollow crust at this point. Or we're talking about, you know, these tunnels that were created by aliens. The whole tunnel system created by aliens.
Clear of the landing pad. You are go for departure.
Landing gear retracted.
Okay, I'm back again. Sorry about that. Just finished all the rest of that. Finished the rest of that cold brewski. Draven Dark. And listen, real talk. Aliens wouldn't have to make tunnels. They could just land in the ocean like the Baltic Sea and all. You know, I was talking about the Baltic Sea anomaly to Tina a couple nights back, and how just bizarre that is that it's down there. You know, looking like the Millennium Falcon down at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. Like, what is it for sure?
Frameshift drive charging.
Is it some kind of monolithic structure that was created by the ancient
Clear
peoples?
the exclusion zone.
Or is it in fact some kind of crashed alien craft? Just waiting to be dredged up. And I'm wondering, why don't they bring the sucker up? Why don't we bring it up and see what it is? I mean, unless of course it's made of stone, then why don't we map it for real? Why don't we get some guys down there with diving suits on and see what's up?
Mission objective detected.
Voyage home, I like where you're going here. What if dinosaurs did have human-like forms like we have chimp ancestry? Who's to say they didn't go underground due to the little ice age? Maybe that's a possibility we could look at. Because I would even suggest that they wouldn't even need to go underground. I would think they would have enough time and it would have been advanced enough to leave the planet in general. But could they have gone underground? Yeah, maybe the ones who didn't leave. Maybe the ones who didn't leave the planet escaped underground, set up shop under there. But why wouldn't they come back to the surface to reclaim it? You know, unless there's ample resources down in the Hollow Earth, as I believe there would be if the Hollow Earth exists. So, you know, Cosmic Yogg-Sothoth of Dunwich, maybe some of the missing of the 411 monarchy, falling down hidden holes into the Hollow Earth, only to be kidnapped by reptoids and thus never seen again. I think it could have something more to do with Deros of the Shaver mystery than reptoids. But the same concept applies, that these people are falling down holes and getting kidnapped by something from underground, never be seen again. Yeah, the possibility exists when it comes to that. I mean, that's something everybody should worry about. You want to get snatched by subterranean humanoid underground dwellers who want to take you back down to their subterranean kingdom for nefarious purposes. So nobody wants that to happen.
Copy that. Engaging telepresence control for fighter. Fighter is prepped and ready to go, Commander.
Geekus Prime asking about robot dinosaurs in the Hollow Earth. Like I said, they're pretty advanced down there by my estimation. So could they have robotic dinosaurs? I don't know. Maybe it's a Dino Riders kind of situation where they have helmets they affix to the dinosaurs so they can mind link to them and then use them as like war weapons. Maybe it's something like Dino Riders. That might be from before your time in the Geekus. Harness the power of Dino Riders. I know Frank Welker did some of the voices in the cartoon. I think Peter Cullen did too. Dino Riders. Magnus Zerm. Zero. As I understand, the Baltic Sea anomaly is only unexplored due to no one spending the money. Well, I'm sure there's probably a reason why they wouldn't be allowed to, even if they did have money. Why wouldn't anybody be interested in that? Why isn't Discovery Channel all over that and try and make some bad documentary out of it? Burpine suggests they kept having mechanical and electronic issues when diving in the Baltic. So maybe it could be a craft. Maybe it could be a craft causing interference with whatever technology they're using on the boat. You can't have that.
Incoming mission critical
Can't see
message.
any more hostiles. That must be it, Commander. Keep it steady, Commander. Initiating automated retrieval.
Voyage home. What if it was due to the comet hitting the Earth and the air changing so they could not breathe like before? That's a very good possibility. That would definitely drive them underground. Definitely drive them underground. But I mean, you know, that's the difference between like these creatures taking refuge in underground bunkers or retreating into the hollow Earth is vast. There's a big difference there. And I think that,
Cargo scoop deployed.
you know, if we are talking about a reptilian species that retreated to the hollow Earth, that did evolve like us, that was sentient and intelligent and could manipulate tools and was able to create and understand and conceptualize, that's a scary thought, especially if they are native to the planet. You know, especially if were here before us, then who's the rightful heir to the Earth? You know, so if they're down there plotting against us, I don't think that fits in with most of the other Hollow Earth narrative that we get when we talk about the Hollow Earth. It doesn't fit in with the Sanat Kumara stuff. It doesn't fit in with the Ascended Master teachings. It just doesn't jibe up with a lot of the Hollow Earth stuff. Or with Admiral Byrd. Admiral Byrd didn't encounter reptilians who wanted to eat him or anything. Now, that's not to say there couldn't be a race of reptilians down there that were not what we think of when we think of these reptoid species as bloodthirsty, evil, warlike. Maybe they're not like that. Maybe they're different. Draven Dark and Maurice Spann got a kick out of Dino Riders. Nice. Glad to see it. Man Ray of Hope suggests maybe the reptiles have stargates, so they don't even need to come back up. Maybe they feel bad for us, so they leave us alone to our fate as dumb ape men. Could be. Could be. Maybe they have a non-interference principle. They just don't get involved. It would make sense to me where, I mean, it would be smarter for other species to not get involved and just leave people to their own devices. Or maybe all these other species have wiped themselves out already. You know, I've seen that suggested before. And somebody even brought up in the chat the Berserker theory that intelligent robots will finally get us all. And maybe then we'll have to retreat into the Hollow Earth. Or maybe the Hollow Earth will have to unite with the surface world to do away with an even greater threat from beyond the stars. Could be a possibility. So I'm wondering if there's already talks between the surface world and the Hollow Earth. Or if it's like completely, you know, isolated. If they're complete isolationists or just completely shut off and don't deal with the upper world at all. Could be the case. I think that it leans in that direction to a very heavy degree.
Frameshift drive charging.
Cosmic Yoxagoth got another suggestion here. Maybe the Atlanteans, Mu people, and Lemurians originated from inside the Hollow Earth. Maybe the originators of those civilizations were not even human, but started it for us. Could be. Maybe they kicked off the whole thing. Maybe they crawled out of the Hollow Earth, and that's where all life on the surface came from. What if the Hollow Earth sent their exiles to the surface, and those turned out to be the progenitors of the human race? A pre-Adamite species. I don't think even the Bible precludes the idea of pre-Adamites, because the creation happens twice in the book of Genesis. At least the creation of man happens twice. So I think what we're talking about is pre-Adamites and then Adam and Eve. Mr. Fast Fallen Fable says stories like the one about the Tino say they came out of a cave to find this world. Yeah, you know what? There are similar stories, I believe, from Native Americans of the American Southwest, and also from some bush tribes of Africa, of sub-Saharan Africa, of the idea that their creation story involved coming up out of the earth through either a hole in the ground or climbing up a tree from its roots into the upper world, and then that's how mankind came to be. But I have heard at least 3 different legends from around the world that speak to stories like that. People coming up out of the earth to find this abundant world here on the surface. Woman in Knife Review. Funny. Go into cave, stay a while, come out of cave. Sounds a bit like a spacecraft. Could be. Could be. Could be there's spacecraft elements to all this. I do think that there's evidence to believe there are spacecraft coming and going from within the Hollow Earth. I do believe some of the lights in the sky that we see could originate within the Hollow Earth and return to the Hollow Earth, either through entrances in the ocean or entrances at the poles. But Admiral Byrd said these craft had the ability to fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. Incredible speeds. There was nothing that we could compare it to. And he was scared. He was scared of them.
Core Dynamics, Bravo Alpha November. We're happy to have you, Commander. Priority access will be granted upon request. Approved for
What if we're the
access.
ones inside the Hollow Earth and we don't even know it?
4-5.
Huh? Think about that. That'll blow your mind. No, I think we're on the surface, honestly. I think we're the surface people. But I don't discount the idea that it could be down there. I just don't. I think it's just too fascinating. It's too interesting to me.
Scan detected.
And when you tie it all together, let's take it back. Let's tie it all together. So
We've got some moderate traffic.
John
around
Cleave
the
Sims
facility,
Jr.
Commander, regulate your speed.
in 1818 announces his Hollow Earth theories to the world, publishing a circuit. But nobody was really impressed. He sent this declaration at considerable cost to each foreign government, reigning prince, legislator, city, college, philosophical society throughout the nation, and individual members of the national legislature, as far as 500 copies would go. Sims' son Americus wrote of the reaction to circular number 1 in 1878, recounting its reception by the public can be easily imagined. It was overwhelmed with ridicule as the production of a distempered imagination or the result of partial insanity. It was for many years a fruitful source of jest with the newspapers. Sims, though, was not deterred. He began his campaign of circulars, newspaper letters, and lectures aimed at defending and promoting his hypothesis of a hollow Earth, and to build support for a polar expedition to vindicate his theory. So in 1818, this idea was already there. And I know for a fact that one of Sims' globes is on display here in Philadelphia. His grave marker in Ohio, in Sims Park, is actually a hollow sphere. The great big hollow sphere is his grave marker to commemorate his work with the hollow Earth. It's all there. It's all there. So John Cleve Sims Jr. in 1818, and he's the first guy to suggest that the poles are the entrance to the hollow Earth. He's the first one. So he helps lay the foundation for this. Now, I believe Isaac Newton was one of the first people to give forth the theory that the Earth had concentric spheres within it. But John Cleve Sims Jr., big name in hollow Earth theory. Big name. One you need to know. If you're talking about the hollow Earth with somebody, be like, hey, have you ever heard of John Cleve Sims Jr.? Check into that guy because he lived the hollow Earth life. He was a proponent of the hollow Earth. He was, at the time, a Dr. Stephen Greer of his day, a David Wilcock, one of these other big names you could think of, a Linda Moulton Howe. He was one of these people. He was on the lecture circuit. He was doing the deal. So from that, we get the idea the Earth is hollow. Then there's several works that are published all around the same time. Edidorfa, Vril, The Power of the Coming Race, and the Smoky God. These all talk to the hollow Earth. The Journey to the Center of the Earth, Jules Verne's, right? Or was that Wells? So these all come around at the same time. And these inspire more and more thinking about the hollow Earth, which exists up until this day, and which has been conflated with hollow Earth and ascended master teachings, as well as the New Age, all kind of mixed up together. Excuse me. Cosmic Yoxagoth of Dunwich says, maybe, though, not a hollow Earth, but lots of deep underground caverns, big enough for a small civilization of advanced creatures. I think that's where some UFOs are from. I don't disagree with that, but I think that there is a hollow Earth as well. I think that you can say, okay, hey, there might be huge areas of the crust that are vacant and empty and could be inhabited, giant underground chasms that could be fulfilled with bases and aliens and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I don't discount that. But that doesn't mean the Earth itself could not be hollow and inhabited within by flora and fauna of the ancient past, by a race of human beings that have ascended through meditation and diet and technology into a new paradigm of living. Could be the case. Heavenly Realms, do you think there could be a link between the Great Gulf described in the Old Testament and Sheol and Hades? I don't know. I mean, it depends. You have to take an idea of what the view would be. In regards to Hollow Earth, I mean, could be. But you'd have to take into account what those people believed at the time about the makeup of the Earth. Like, what was the mindset of somebody who lived in a time period of any random point in the Old Testament regarding the nature of the Earth? Was it an ancient cosmology where you predicted the underworld existed below you, the heavens existed above you, and there was a dome? I mean, and that's a lot of flat Earth people get into that stuff a lot. And I'm not a proponent of flat Earth in one way, shape, or the other. Bug Brandguard, we got a science-related question here. How does the core not slam into the out Earth as it travels in its arc around the sun? Don't know. Don't know how it works, bud. I don't know the science of it. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Look, the thing's not going to make sense. We're talking about the idea that the Earth is hollow like an eggshell with a sun inside of it, and there's people living there. It's not going to make any sense. You know, I ask that you suspend your disbelief just for the sake of entertaining the idea, because I mean, I don't know how it works scientifically. I don't know if anybody's done that much research into saying, okay, well, here's how the inner core of the Earth would still maintain its rotation with the outer shell of the Earth as it travels around the sun. I don't know. I don't know, bud. It's a great question. I think it is a great question. And a question like that blows a hole in the whole thing, obviously. You know, how does the core not slam into the outer Earth? Like, why is the core and the shell moving at the same speed? Who knows? Oh, and Bud follows up. Maybe the inner Earth does slam into the outer Earth, and that's how the earthquakes are made. Could be. Could be if we don't have tectonic plates. If all that we're told about the Earth isn't true. You know? But who knows? So listen, folks, we're coming up on the end of the show, so I just want to do something real quick and thank Deranged Lunatic, G Sing, Tori Lotus, Ray Steps, Jacob M, Red Monarch, and Dr. Forbin Colossus, and Perth Fence Colorblind Fencing Specialist, and Hey Na, and Bo Rai Chow Wins, and Peter DeRosa for your generous super chats. They are much appreciated, never expected, but always appreciated. Thank you so very much. I want to say thank you to Tina Tomaszewski and Jesse Miller at the Crow's Nest for being here tonight, moderating as well. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in tonight. I want to thank you all for being here and spending your hour with us as we delve into the world of the weird, deep into these rabbit holes, as deep as the hollow earth goes. And I'm going to go ahead and play the thing for you real quick before we get going.
This kind of broadcasting only works in this country. Here in America, we put on the programs that you enjoy, then we simply come to you and ask you to support them. Help this system of broadcasting work. We need to hear from you. We also are looking for a lot of new subscribers right now. So please become a new subscriber and help us reach our goal of 12,000 new subscribers.
But the most important thing is to get that money in and into our studios right away so that we can bring you more programs like this. And you can do that on a Visa, MasterCard, or American Express.
Alrighty. Now, before I go, I got one last thing to ask you to do. Check out the description of this video where you'll find links to my Twitter, email, and Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Likewise, you'll see my second channel, Dark Sayings, where I do audiobook recordings. Subscribe over there. You will also find links to my Patreon, where I've got a one tier. It's $1 a month. That's $0.25 a week, less than the price of a cup of coffee. And I hope you feel what goes on here is worth that, and you'll consider signing up. You can always cancel after the first month. Think of it like a tip jar. Big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, both new and old. Also, there's a Teespring store if you want to check out the merchandise that's inspired by the esoteric and the extraterrestrial. Link is at the top of the chat as well as in the description of this video. I hope you check it out, find something you like. I promise that you will. What else? That is about that, and that's going to do it for tonight. And again, thank you for being here. So this has been the Creepy Little Book Live. I've been your host, Pete, and until next time,
Fuel scooping.
stay creeped out.
System scan complete. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. Fuel scoop disengaged.
Anonymous source refers to distress call location. Pilots Federation alert. An encrypted message seems to provide planetary coordinates related to the mysterious signal from Serene Harbor. The message received by the Pilots Federation was as follows. Welcome to Serene Harbor. 56.4 latitude, minus 8.3 longitude. Theta 7. Although this pinpoints a geographical area on a planetary surface, the astronomical location of this body remains a mystery. It is unclear whether Theta 7 refers to additional map coordinates of some kind, or is a code phrase intended for unknown recipients. Little is known about the original distress call, other than its brief content. This is an emergency broadcast on all frequencies from Serene Harbor. We are. Request for pilots to trace distress call. Pilots Federation alert. An independent vessel has detected a fragment of a mysterious message coming from an unexplored region of space. Commander Elsa Solomon was traveling through the Swal's XXDC-130 system when her ship's communications array picked up a faint transmission. The message was as follows. This is an emergency broadcast on all frequencies from Serene Harbor. We are. The transmission ended abruptly and did not resume. The signal did not contain any identification data or indications as to its origin. Commander Solomon gave more details to Vox Galactica. The message appeared in my comms panels as text and an electronically generated voice. I wasn't able to determine a source, only that it was broadcast within 80 light years of that system. My schedule was tight, so I couldn't spend long tracking it. I have no idea if Serene Harbor is a starport, a settlement, or even a megaship, but this is obviously a Mayday signal.
Core dynamics, Bravo, Alpha, November. Good to see you, Commander. Throttle down and commence with docking.
Someone somewhere is in serious trouble. I've asked the Pilots Federation to share the information in case any of my fellow commanders can help. To help...
Access permitted. Please make your way to landing pad 2-3.
triangulate the source, there is a call-out to any other ships that were in the area at the time, which may have received a similar broadcast. However, no responses have been received as yet. Sirius Corporation secures hosting of Galactic Summit. Pilots Federation...
Continue on approach.
Alert. Sirius Corporation has received more data than Utopia and will therefore host the Galactic
Scan detected.
Summit. Both organizations propose to organize a diplomatic conference for the Alliance, Empire, and Federation. After